Welcome, fellow creatures of the night, to the second meeting of the Midnight Culture Club. Here we venture deep into the nocturnal lands of the strange, the morbid, the absurd, and the obscure in film, books, TV, fairy tales, urban legends, and many other forms of pop culture. We discuss and analyse these texts to explore the fascinating ways they reflect, comment on, and critique the world we live in from its darker side. My name is Xenia. I'm still the overmotivated nerd in the club, but I do now let another member get a word in.
Oh my god, hi, I'm Anna.
So we have a wonderful guest, and yeah, we are excited to declare this meeting of Midnight Culture Club officially in session.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, thank
It's
you
such
for
an
being
honor.
here. Thank you for being here.
Am I the first guest?
Yes, you are.
I asked that as if I didn't know, for the sake of the pod.
There was a secret guest in the last episode that nobody knows about.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Wait, what's this behind the scene information?
I don't know, I just made it up.
I assumed that you had a cat somewhere.
That would have been great, but there was no cat, unfortunately.
No cat.
There should have been.
Oh, well, I feel honored to be part of the club.
You're obviously honorary member
Yay.
because you're here.
I brought you a little tidbit, a little bit of spooky news.
Exciting. What are
So,
they?
well, it's not spooky, it's more club adjacent. Because I know you don't get news past the 1980s.
I don't.
So, you know how I really love Sabrina Carpenter.
Yes.
She was on the VMAs.
Yes.
She had a performance where she performed 3 different songs.
Mm-hmm.
She descended onto the stage on a diamond.
Nice. I like
And
that.
then, I thought you would. So she had the, in my opinion, greatest costume wardrobe change. Because what she did is essentially she had a little panel covering her cleavage and then she ripped it off and nothing else changed.
That is great. I love that.
So she just, just wanted us to see
Yeah.
the girls.
Well done.
But that's not the spooky news.
No, it's not.
She-
Sabrina Carpenter's boobs. Very scary.
They're great. Honestly, good for her.
Good for her.
No, but the spooky news is she then was in the middle of a throuple between an alien and a astronaut. The alien was one of those illegal aliens who got transgender surgery because girl was very... she had all of the equipage. Do you know about the illegal aliens who are getting transgender surgery in the prisons?
No. What is going on there?
This happened during the Trump-Kamala Harris debate.
Oh, I did not know. I only knew about the thing where he said that people eat pets, but they don't.
Because his running mate made it up.
Yeah, of course.
We love some collusion. We don't. We are both shaking our heads very
Yes,
violently.
we're like,
No, but like during the Trump-Kamala Harris debate, he went like, oh, they're doing they're doing transgender surgery on illegal aliens in prisons. Which is a crazy thing to say.
What
sorry.
sci-fi movie is this? I need to see this.
Well, clearly, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I mean, I can see it. They are illegal aliens. They are very trans.
Yeah, I don't know if they did the transgender surgery.
I don't think they did. I think they're just vibing. I think they're actually more sort of like gender fluid.
Slay. Still haven't gotten to the news.
Yes, the spooky news.
So she, at some point, throws the astronaut off the stage and then makes out with the alien.
Good choice.
And then Britney Spears commented on it on TikTok by saying, "That's so weird. Why would she kiss an alien? Why wouldn't she kiss a girl?"
Maybe the alien is a girl.
The alien is a girl, but I don't think that Britney Spears understands alien gender.
Fair enough. Alien gender is a little bit... I feel like aliens don't need gender. Or at least they don't need like binary gender. They can just vibe.
Yeah, they don't need to fit
Yeah.
into our gender. If they want to get transgender surgery in the prisons,
Yeah, let's do Let's let them have it.
This is so... It went so off rails, go on.
It did a little bit. After Sabrina Carpenter and the Alien, we're getting to something very different. We're going to talk about a film today that is very interesting. Sadly, no aliens, but boobs.
A lot of boobs. I mean, I'm glad I watched it by myself in my little room at 1 a.m. Well, about that part, I'm not that glad.
But you know, I feel like it is a good movie to watch late at night. I mean, I first saw it at the film festival in Bologna.
Oh my god.
And it was a late night showing. It was, I think, like 10 or 11.
Wait, you go to film festivals in Italy?
I do.
That is so crazy.
And guess how I found out about them? Not from Anna, no.
Is it from the film science major? No, minor, sorry.
Possibly. Oh yeah, Anna has actual film credentials.
Yeah, I technically have studied cinema studies?
Yeah, I think so. Cinema studies, film studies. Is that the same thing or is there a difference?
There is a difference. I think that where I studied it, we called it cinema studies because it has to do with the entire history of cinema, particularly. Film studies would be more focused on the medium film. Perhaps it goes more into a public approach
Yeah.
to cinema as a place. Then a film studies approach would go
More just looking at the texts.
yeah, and then
themselves.
perhaps even go into, is YouTube a form of film?
Oh, okay.
This was a large tangent. I'm
It's
sorry.
fine, but let's see. This is the educational content.
Yay!
Yeah, I saw this film this summer in Bologna in this like really beautiful theater that is from the 20s and it's like restored and it's stunning. So it was like a really cool place to see it as well. So I think that probably also played a role in how impressive I found it. But I watched it again on my crappy little laptop and it was still good. So
I wonder if did you watch it online?
yes, I watched it online. Very legally.
I wonder if you watched the Martin Scorsese restoration from 2011.
Maybe.
Did you see a difference between the restoration you watched on the cinema and the restoration you watched on your own?
Honestly, it's hard to say because there were quite like several months between, so I don't think I would be able to tell necessarily.
There's a 2011 restoration that Martin Scorsese did, and then there's the one that you watched, which was the 2024 restoration.
Which is why they
So-
showed it.
Yes, they might have come from different film roles.
That makes sense. We still haven't said which film it is. So yeah, we are talking about a film thing that's very interesting. Only became kind of sort of a respectable movie quite a bit after it was released, because at the beginning it was quite controversial because it was seen as very sort of seedy and inappropriate, which might link to the boobs.
The boobage.
Although I actually have a theory, a very thought out theory as to why I think it was considered inappropriate. That's not only boobs. We'll find out about
Suspense.
that. But now it is often seen as like a pretty impressive work of sort of psychological horror and an example of innovative and clever use of cinematic techniques. It has an unfortunate title because the film is called Peeping Tom. It's horrible.
Wait, you don't like the title?
I think the title is horrible.
Why not?
I think it's just because I don't like the term Peeping Tom because it sounds so... I mean, a Peeping Tom is like a voyeur, right?
It sounds like your neighbor who's watching over the fence.
Yeah.
And he's got dead blue eyes, little chubby cheeks
I mean, he
that are red. Am I describing someone here?
I think you might be.
Literally the main character. Wait, go on.
I think the title sounds almost like it's a weird porn movie. But it's not.
It does.
So yeah, in this case, we have established Anna is familiar with the tompipery of this film. I did not script that joke.
Thank you so much.
Never. One thing before we begin talking about the film in detail is I do want to give a little content warning. because it does deal with violence against women, including sexualized violence and also discussions of intimate partner violence that's sort of hinted at. There will be nothing graphic regarding any of these topics, but they will come up in the discussion because they're like main themes of the film. Because of this, I have put a link in the description that brings you to the global directory of helplines and services and general info for victims of domestic and sexual violence. This is not gender specific, so it has resources for everyone. So no matter who you are or where you are in the world, you should be able to find whatever supportive resources exist in your area. There will also be a few brief mentions of emotional abuse of children. Again, nothing graphic or detailed, but these are the content warnings for this episode. It is a cold winter night in London at the end of the 1950s. The streets, lit only sparingly by fluorescent lanterns and pools of light spilling from windows, are deserted, except for a blonde woman standing alone in front of a shop. Its window is decorated with flowers and the dismembered body parts of several mannequins, carefully arranged. Through the lens of a camera, held by an unknown person in the folds of their coat, we approach the woman. The viewfinder paints a black cross like a target on her body and her face as she turns and looks at us. "That'll be £2," she says, barely interested, before leading the way into a courtyard through a door and up a set of narrow stairs to her room. We watch as she turns up the gas fire and begins to undress. The camera pans down for a brief moment before a bright light shines into the woman's face. The score rises and the camera closes in on its target, on the half-dressed woman sitting on the bed. She backs away in terror, but she has nowhere to go. Her screams drown out the score. The screen cuts to black. We realize that the lens we have gazed through is the lens of the killer and his camera. And as in the next sequence, the opening credits roll, we see the woman die again, just as we did before. Except this time, the viewfinder is gone, and the film is projected in black and white onto a screen in the dark room. A man, only his silhouette visible in the darkness, sits before the screen, watching. At one point he rises, seemingly tense, and drops back into his seat. Black again. We find ourselves at the scene of the crime in the cold light of day. Police, press, and passers-by are gathered, and the woman's body is carried out into the street and placed in a police car. We are still looking through the killer's camera. A reverse shot shows us the camera, but not the killer. A man approaches and asks, "Which paper are you from?" The protagonist lowers his camera and we see him for the first time. He is a young man with blonde hair and blue eyes who looks utterly respectable. The passerby repeats his question, "Which paper are you from?" And the young man answers, "The Observer."
A respectable young man.
He looks very respectable.
Do you think so?
I think he does.
I think he looks obscenely... I can only describe him in German terms. He is the little German boy.
He is.
If you know the little German boy meme, that is him.
Yeah, that's true. He does have like a baby face.
He's got a booby face.
He's got a booby face.
A booby face.
Actually, that's a good point because I do briefly want to talk about the casting.
Go on.
I think the casting is very interesting because the actor who plays the protagonist / the killer is best known for playing like the love interest in the Sissy movies. So he plays like the literal emperor of Austria, and he's like really nice and like he's very respectable. His biggest crime is listening to his mum too much.
I watch those movies every single Christmas and I forget about that. The thing about him also is like he has the face of every single doll you would have owned as a child. This man has little cheeks that they sit so high on his
They
face.
do.
And it's when I talk about him, I slowly slip into a German accent. I feel myself.
I love that.
Just because he is so. What's his name again?
Karl-Heinz Böhm.
That's.
He's not credited as that, by the way. He's
Oh.
credited as Karl Böhm with a C because they probably were like, oh, Karl-Heinz, so we cannot do that. That's too German.
Too German.
Nobody-
He went too German.
That was too German. We need to tone the German down a little bit.
Take that bratwurst out of here. Oh my goodness. He is so weird and off-putting. He has something about him that makes him feel like he should be in a Christmas market.
He should be, yes. That's his natural habitat.
Something about him in this movie. There's not a single thought behind those eyes. He has empty eyes.
That's how you know he's a murderer.
He also looks like that in those Sissy movies.
He does.
By the way, Sissy, I don't know, have you explained them?
No, okay, yes. The Sissy movies are kind of a classic of German language film. They're 3 parts of films, and they're basically like romance films. And they are very, very, very loosely based. They have invented the term loosely based on the life of the Austrian Empress Elisabeth, known as Sissy. So that's her name. It's not about scared men.
I think he would be very well casted in those movies as well.
He'd be a good Sissy.
I
can
don't
see it. I can see it. Yes. But yeah, there are these really famous films with Romy Schneider.
Oh, Romy.
Hey, Romy. So yeah, they are these romance films, and as you said, you always watch them at Christmas. It's kind of like a tradition to watch them at Christmas. I never saw them until this year. I still haven't seen the 3rd one because my mom hates them.
Oh, that is funny.
We still have not talked about this film.
Oh my god,
We have talked about Karl-Heinz. So Karl-Heinz plays a character in this film. Who would have thought? He is the titular Peeping Tom, but he's not called Tom. He's called Mark.
Movie errors.
He also doesn't do that much peeping, to be honest.
All of his peeping is very proactive. It doesn't feel very voyeuristic.
No, there's like literally one scene where he like sees people making out and he films them secretly. That's literally the only Peeping Tom activity that he does. But yeah, let's talk about Mark. Mark is a very sort of withdrawn and quiet guy. He lives on the top floor of this house. He doesn't speak to the people downstairs unless they make him. And when he isn't murdering people and filming it, Mark has 2 jobs. One is to work in a film studio as like a camera assistant, and he does lighting and stuff like that. And the other, which is considerably more interesting in my opinion, is to take naughty pictures of naked ladies in the dodgy little back room of a newsagent's. And this newsagent's we need to talk about because the newsagent's shop is wild.
I feel like this guy is so competent at his job. The guy who runs the newsagent.
Yes.
This man has his audience figured out.
He knows. It's owned by like this older guy, and he also looks very respectable with his little mustache. But basically, he mostly sells porn, and the whole shop is covered in like pin-ups, lots and lots of naked women on the walls. But it exists in this kind of strange space because we have all these porn images, and then in the first scene where we see the shop, this girl comes in and buys like a chocolate bar. And that is
Crazy.
crazy, yes. Because I think it's really cool how they show that these kind of 2 worlds exist alongside. And, you know, the kind of seedy stuff and the respectable stuff aren't as distant from one another as maybe we'd like to think.
I also find it funny that this man comes in and is all shy about buying these seedy photos.
Yeah, there's a
Yet,
customer.
In the background, just women. Just
Yes.
lines of women. And he's just like,
Yes.
oh no, oops.
Yeah.
Where am I?
And we kind of see the pictures that he's looking at. They are exactly the same as the ones on the walls. Like, they're not
Yes.
like more extreme or anything. And my favorite thing is that the owner of the shop has a little catchphrase. Do you remember the catchphrase?
No, wait, I didn't pick
I
that
wrote
up.
it down because he basically asks Mark which magazines sell the most copies, and it's clearly something that he's learned by heart because he says it's The ones with girls on the front covers and no front covers on the girls.
Oh wait, that is so great. Now I
is
remember.
amazing.
That is great. This movie is so funny. It is so comedic for no reason.
That's this newsagent's shop with all the porn images, and it turns out that they actually have their own little production upstairs, because that's essentially, you know, the second job, where Mark takes pictures of these women to produce the kind of porn that they sell downstairs, and that's one of the first kind of actual scenes that we get, right, where he goes upstairs and he's supposed to take pictures, and that gets very interesting. So there's two women, two models in the room, and one of them, she's called Minnie.
Mouse?
Yes. I think she's very cool.
She is.
She's very badass. She's like, oh, get it on with, get a move. Like, I don't have all day. And then the owner comes in. I'm sure he has a name, but I don't remember his name. He comes in and brings them tea, and he's like, oh, it's on the house. And he's like, yeah, what kind of house do you call this? She's amazing.
This man is also not looking at anyone in the eyes, the honor. He comes in, and I'm surprised he didn't trip.
You know, considering that he is literally a porn merchant, he seems very uncomfortable.
He does. He's very prim and proper.
Yeah.
In weird ways.
Yes, it is. Again, it's this kind of weird combination of this like super respectable and the seedy, and they kind of get mixed up. Anyway, I think it's interesting that these women, that we get to introduce to them, I mean, they're not like massive characters, but we do get a bit of characterization on them. I like that the scene is absolutely not portrayed as like a sensual scene or anything. Like, it clearly shows this as a production situation. They are making a product. So yeah, it's very kind of sober.
It is.
Yeah, so it's like this sober, unexcited approach to pornography, which is one of the things that I think they didn't like.
Oh.
Yeah.
That the public didn't like in
Yes.
this film. Interesting.
I think so, because it is very kind of modern. People would probably expect the time to have this be like some kind of, yeah, seedy situation where kind of weird stuff happens, but they're just taking the pictures and like talking to each other.
Absolutely. I also find it interesting that compared to the acting of quite a lot of the other actors in the movie, these two models feel very modern, because with Carl, with some of the characters that we will get introduced to, they feel almost stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Whereas these two actresses portray a very more kitchen sink approach.
Yes. Yeah. There's this harshness and this kind of cold realism almost about them. And that's also very interesting, because here we get this introduction to like violence against women, because Minnie says that Mark should like photograph her in a way that they can't see her bruises. And the other model also, she has like an injury on her face. And I think it's very interesting that we get introduced to this topic of violence against women while they are being photographed. I think it kind of links violence to the camera, which is sort of like an overall theme of the film. And I think it's interesting that we already get this connection here on this level as well, that these women who are in the gaze of the camera are also targets of violence in other situations. And especially Minnie also tells us that, you know, it's like her boyfriend who like caught her going out with another guy and then he like hit her. So it's very much this combination of the gaze of the camera and this sort of possessive male violence against women. And I think this combination is kind of the key theme of the film.
Oh, interesting.
I think this film is a perfect example of making something visible that is usually invisible. And that...
Do tell more.
You know what's coming. Because we're talking about the male gaze.
Oh, Laura Mulvey.
Yes, Laura Mulvey. Are you familiar with the male gaze?
I mean, I have studied film.
I was hoping you would make a joke there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I'll try to be funnier.
It's fine. Because everyone's always like, what gays?
No, wait. I was supposed to. I have been ordered to make that joke as well. Well,
Like,
it still works.
It's just
If you
it's a
knew
great
how
joke.
many queer people were studying film,
Yeah.
you would be very familiar with the male gaze
You
at
would.
the film seminar.
The male gaze is a concept that fits this film so well. So Laura Mulvey wrote this article in the 70s, this very influential essay called Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema. Male gaze theory is something, again, that Laura Mulvey formulated in this essay. She uses this term to describe a certain strategy that mainstream cinema uses that is shaped by patriarchal norms. Because essentially the male gaze is the mode of looking in traditional cinema, in traditional narrative cinema. First of all, what is narrative cinema? Mulvey uses the term to describe essentially mainstream film that aims to draw the viewer in and make them forget they're watching a film. It tries to build an immersive illusion. And part of this illusion is that this narrative cinema tries to disguise the presence of the camera. You're not supposed to notice the camera movement or what specifically the camera is doing, because that would take the audience out of the illusion. And of course, this film, with, as we've seen in the little opening description, does the exact opposite of this. It makes us very clearly notice, hey, we are looking through a camera and we're looking through this specific person's perspective. Through this, it kind of breaks this illusion completely. According to Laura Mulvey, it is this illusion that kind of protects the viewer's invisibility. It kind of protects the viewer from feeling like they're actually watching something. If we kind of make the view visible, the viewer is sort of forced to realize that they are looking at a film, and they are forced to realize that, oh, I'm actually the Peeping Tom in this situation.
Yes, to reckon with their own voyeurism.
Exactly, they're sort of confronted with that. Laura Mulvey also talks about how the kind of room of the cinema protects the viewer, because like this dark room that you're sitting in, and you can sort of look at the film without being noticed, in a sense. And I find it so interesting that in the opening credits we get the scene of Mark watching back his own recordings on the screen. So basically the viewer who's looking at the film is in the same situation as him and watching the same material. So we're basically put in his shoes, in a sense, and we don't like being put in the shoes of someone who's doing this kind of stuff.
That is fascinating. Yes, I hadn't thought about that. Should we talk about those moments in the film? The film moments.
Yes, let's talk about the moments where the gaze is made visible, where we're forced to look at ourselves and how creepy we are.
I know I'm here to be funny. Can I be smart for a bit?
You're always allowed to be smart. I mean, you are smart, so...
That's debatable. However...
No, that's a fact.
Thank you. Interestingly enough, there was something happening at the same time. During the late 50s into the 60s, which was the kitchen sink cinema or the British New Wave. A lot of it was very much marked by representing the world as it was. And so a lot of these films have a very similar aesthetic of being black and white.
Yes.
And about real situations filmed with a very low budget. Another thing that really marked the kitchen sink cinema was the young angry man, who was often the protagonist of these stories, but also probably the guy behind the camera. The film is filmed in very vibrant colors. However, the moment that we get to see these real stories that are happening within the screen, or these documentations,
Yeah.
as the main character calls it.
They are black and white.
They're black and white.
So interesting. That makes so much sense. So he's sort of like the contemporary viewer.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
In a sense.
I think it's also interesting that those movies were called kitchen sink cinema because they would often have a kitchen sink visible, which is part of that filming everyday life around you. Yet this movie really does not do that.
Yeah. That's true. It is very stylistic.
Yes.
Right. It is very, if you look at I mean, almost every shot is like a painting.
And it is very much, it feels like you're in a studio the entire film through. It does not, it's not that these characters don't inhabit the world, but it feels like the world that they inhabit is very theatrical.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean, it also ties in with this whole film world that is touched. I mean, a lot of it actually takes place in a film studio. The whole film is kind of staged, obviously, but like it also looks kind of staged. But at the same time, we get scenes that are actually taking place during a film shoot, and we see them trying the same scenes again and again, and they just don't work. And of course, making the stage thing visible also again plays into subverting the immersive gaze in a way. Because if you look at it and you think, oh, this looks very theatrical, you don't feel like, oh, this is an immersive thing that you kind of get sucked into and then you don't realize you're watching a film. Oh, what's also super interesting, what I found fascinating, because I read the Mulvey article again, and she mentions scopophilia.
Yes.
Which is a term described by Freud. We will have Freud.
Oh, God. Can you pour me another one?
There she is. But Freud defined this term, and I think this is actually one of the less questionable Freud terms, because essentially it is about the sort of urge to gaze in like a pleasurable way, that we kind of enjoy looking at other people, that we enjoy looking at them, but also that on the one hand this is something that's kind of inherent to humans. He also describes this as something that, you know, children do when they watch adults do things and learn about the world like that, but it is also something that has a degree of control in it. So we are looking to have a certain power over what we're looking at.
Oh.
So it is kind of the base of this kind of objectifying gaze that we then get as part of the male gaze, because I haven't got to that yet. The male gaze is also sort of defined by the fact that in narrative cinema, at this time there was the convention that the gaze would sort of be, there would be like a gazing subject, which was usually kind of the male protagonist who sort of directs the gaze, well, not knowingly, but we sort of follow him by having his perspective. And a lot of the time what he's gazing at are women, and they are kind of this aesthetic, pleasurable to look at form that the film uses as like a source of beauty and like aesthetic appeal. We get this in this film, but it's made visible. Like in the opening scene, for example, we see Mark's camera, and he first looks at like the woman's legs, and then he like pans up her body, which is like this sort of classic pan that cinema does to kind of accentuate like female beauty in this sort of traditional sense. And he does exactly that, but because we see the camera and we see the viewfinder with this cross, we are much more aware of that's what the camera is doing.
It is crazy how much a filter can do.
Yes.
And they're like slap across on it, and you're just
Slap
like,
across.
oh,
Yes.
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, you're like, I never thought about that, but that's a strange thing to do. And then again, we get the sort of porn shoot scene, where we again have these women who are very deliberately posed to appeal to the male gaze, and there are pictures being taken of them. And I think the idea that at the same time these women, especially Minnie, behave in a pretty like confident way, it kind of goes against it. It kind of works against her just being something to look at, because she engages with the people and she's kind of provocative, and she's like, oh, what do you want from me? Like, please behave this way and that. I think it really kind of works against the male gaze tradition.
In this film.
Yes.
Yes, it really does.
And
I agree.
That is so cool.
I think it's very interesting that it is so critical of a lot of these, as you said, these behaviors that we have in mainstream media. Yet it got so shunned for what it was.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you gonna get there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't wanna spoil the discussion.
That's my theory. Oh, and about the scopophilia term, that's also interesting because they actually mention it in the film.
They do.
Yeah, there's this scene where, so Mark kills someone on the film set, and then the body
Poor
is
Viv.
found. Yes, poor
Weave.
Viv.
Why did I call her Weave? Poor Viv.
Poor Viv. Viv was so cute.
Viv, baby girl, did not have a single sense of self-preservation.
No, she did not.
She's adorable. Love Moira Shearer. But, honey...
That's not a good idea. If some random guy at your job is like, hey, stay behind with me after everyone's gone and we're gonna lock all the rooms, don't do that. That's dangerous.
Also, love her. Run.
Yes.
Girl, put on your running shoes the moment someone points a knife at you. That is a good sense of self-preservation.
Yes, exactly.
She just kept looking at the camera.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah.
Oh no.
This is the second film with her that I've seen that she dies in.
Oh, is she like Sean Bean?
Maybe.
Always
The
dying.
ballet dancer, prima ballerina Sean Bean.
I would love to see Sean Bean do ballet.
I would love him in... okay, what could he...
He should have been in the Full Monty.
Oh my god.
His
should
vibe
have
is correct for that film.
Yes, absolutely. He should have been in The Nutcracker.
I would love that.
Oh my god, imagine.
That would be great.
Barbie's Nutcracker, of course.
Yes, of course.
The
That's
only
right.
version we acknowledge.
Oh, maybe we should explain a little bit what the plot of this film is.
Love how we're all over the place.
Here's a little bit more exposition. Essentially, the film is about Mark, who we've introduced, and his hobby is murdering people and filming it. And he goes on about how he's trying to make this documentary about fear, because he wants to sort of capture the perfect image of fear, so to speak. And this basically comes from something that happened to him in his childhood, because his dad, who is really fucking weird,
The original family vlogger.
I swear. How did this film already know that family vlogging is not a good idea?
We should show this film to anyone who signs up their kid for a YouTube channel.
Yes. Because essentially, Daddy over here, he says he's a scientist. I don't know if he's really a scientist because that seems dodgy. But basically, he wants to study different emotions and especially wants to study fear. And his way to do that is to just like scare his child and film him while he's being scared.
Chat, is it weird to throw a literal lizard on your child?
Is it weird to film your child visiting its dead mother?
Insane.
Right?
Crazy behavior.
That is family vlogger behavior.
Maybe social media was a mistake.
I think it might have been. Because at least the Mark's dad couldn't show this stuff around.
But when it does get shown, did you pick up on the girl?
She is like, what the hell is going on?
However, she starts watching this,
Yeah.
and little Mark misbehaves. And her response to that is, naughty boy, I hope you were spanked.
Excuse me? Why do you want to spank children?
The way she said it so saucily as well.
Yeah. I was like, that's the real porn in this film.
Honestly, I was uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, that was really weird. Oh, we should say who the girl is.
Oh, gone.
So, there's this family who lives downstairs. It's a mother and her daughter. And the daughter, she's 21. It's her 21st birthday when you first meet her.
She's also very prim and proper in the way that the other women
She
were
is.
introduced to aren't.
Yes, she's very much a contrast to the other women in the film.
Yes, she also looks like she's about a decade late with her fashion.
Yes. She's also very respectable. So yeah, this is Helen.
Old Helen.
Helen lives
Young
downstairs. Yes, young Helen, old Helen, who's to know? Helen, she at some point decides, okay, this guy who lives up there needs to talk to us. Like, he can't just be sneaking around all the time. So she starts talking to him. She goes up to his flat and brings him like a slice of cake because it's her birthday party, which is very nice of her. And then they start talking to each other, or like Helen talks and Mark is like, what are words? Because he's very shy when he talks to her.
But she loved that,
She
in the
loved
words
that.
of my very young brother, that weird Riz. Very off-putting Rizzler of just staring at her and nodding every now
Staring,
and
nodding. Would you like some milk?
then. And she goes, yes, I would love some milk. Psychopath behavior. If
Indeed.
someone offered me just cold milk, I would ask
You'd be
them
like,
if they want me
"Aw."
to die.
Yeah, fair enough.
Being slightly lactose intolerant.
I mean, that would be an attempt on your life, clearly. But yeah, that's also something that is very interesting because he asks her if he can offer a drink, and she says yes, and he's like, oh, I don't have any drinks. But he has milk. It's kind of very childlike.
Also, wait, did you pick up when he asks her, so are you free tomorrow? And she says, yes. And he responds with, well, I hope I am. Like he doesn't have a calendar.
He doesn't. He has no control over his life.
I'm gonna start saying that to people. I'm gonna start.
You're gonna be like,
Suggesting.
yeah, suggesting something like, oh, I don't know if I have time then, I'm sorry. Like, how am I supposed to know?
I hope I can.
I hope so. Might have to kill someone then.
My schedule is full of stabbing.
Yeah, that stabbing doesn't do itself.
Well, I've got a stabbing at 8:30 and then a dismemberment at 5.
I mean, at least he's not dismembering anyone.
The
Good
bar
for
is
him.
on the floor.
The bar is
The bar is
under
on the floor. Under the floor.
He's just doing the stabbing. No dismembering. No other weird stuff.
Yeah, it was weirdly sanitized.
Wait, where were we?
Helen and the milk.
Helen and the milk. And then Helen says she would like to see the films that he makes. And that's how we get to see the dad's weird vlog material. And then Mark explains to us, oh, you know, he's like a scientist and he wanted to study human fear, especially fear in children. Helen does not seem to realize what a lizard is because she's like, is that a lizard?
Helen Girly Pop. Go outside, touch some grass.
The dad's films are super interesting because especially like we get the things where he like scares Mark and he's scared.
Does he? He scares Mark and he's scared.
And then we go on to, you know, the mother dies and he films that like a creep. And then we get the new wife.
Oh, yes.
We get the scenes with the new wife. After the new wife is introduced, we see in the film how the dad gives Mark his first camera.
The replacement, is that what he calls the new wife?
Yes, he does.
Oh.
It's like my mother's replacement.
Oh.
Or like her successor, I think something like that.
It was
It makes it very clear that it's like a series of women and they are exchangeable.
God, so creepy.
It is very creepy. And I think it is so interesting that this is the moment where he gives Mark the camera.
His emotional support camera.
His emotional support camera. And that's also where we get this first shot where, well, not because we've seen him do that before, we've seen him sort of half hidden by the camera. And in that sequence, we also see him half hidden by the camera.
Oh.
So again, it sort of links this idea of kind of consuming women, in this case, and like a series of wives, to the camera.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we get this combination of this kind of expendable woman concept that is linked to the camera and therefore linked to this objectifying gaze. This comes up again because Mark and Helen, they kind of start interacting more and more, and then eventually they go out on a date. And Helen asks him if he doesn't want to leave his camera at home, and he does, and then when they come back, she sort of turns the camera at herself and is like, oh, I wonder what I look like on the camera. And he like rips it away from her. He's like, no, we cannot film you. And I think that is because he does not see her as this kind of expendable, objectified woman. But as soon as the camera would capture her, she would become that.
Oh, what I love about that sequence is that she says, "I'm gonna put your camera away safely," and then puts it into a room and leaves the door open. Like Vince McMahon was like, "Let's put it somewhere safe
where anyone can take it."
Exactly.
Did you also notice what happens when, as soon as they put the camera away and they leave? Did you notice what happens?
No.
Mark is able to speak in full sentences to her.
Oh
he becomes like very relaxed.
Yeah.
And he starts behaving pretty normal.
It's like
as soon as the camera's gone.
Emotional blankie of the camera. It makes him into an adult once it's not there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
He does hold it in a very blanky way. He also hugs it to his body.
Yes.
Not to call a serial killer cute, but
it was kind of cute.
It's kind of. But I think that's mostly because I have a weird, like, attachment to the actor.
Because of the Sissy movie.
Yeah, I feel like...
There he is very cute.
He's so adorable when he invades a country. Does he do that? I don't think so.
I don't think he does, no.
I think he just runs it. I also love that at some point in the Sissy movies, if someone's like, "I hate the Emperor," and he's like, "Oh, really?"
Like, me too.
Self-hatred to another point.
I mean, I could see that.
You start a political ploy against yourself.
I think we need to make a Sissy episode. We have so much to say about that. Where are we? Yes, we talk about how as soon as the camera's gone, he becomes normal. I think the film really uses the camera as this kind of catalyst for this kind of objectifying, but also the violent behavior. And I think that is also linked to, again, how shy he is and how like withdrawn he is towards Helen, because I think he kind of struggles putting that together, because there's this woman who he likes and she's like a full person, and I think he has to kind of put that together with the camera gaze that's kind of flattening and objectifying that he's used to looking through, and that's probably quite tricky for him.
Quick question, yes. Just to go back.
Yes.
My girl is 21.
Yeah.
How old is he supposed to be?
I have no idea how old he is.
Because it was very much giving the pussies the therapy. Sorry for the swear word.
That's fine. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where it's because she suddenly is in his life.
Everything changes.
Suddenly has read the DSM-5. She appears in his life and he's talking about being a toxic manipulator.
Also, like, how does he, the first time they talk to each other, he instantly shows her, like, these videos? I think that is very, very strange.
Oh, it's how those film artsy bros get you.
Oh,
they're like, I'm gonna show you the art I've never shown anyone before. And then
that's what he does.
They are just horrible to you.
Yeah.
Because you're 21 and stupid. Love Helen. However, she is 21 and stupid. As we all were.
Yes, but like, maybe don't go to the creepy man's house all the time.
If your blind mother tells you,
don't.
This guy is weird. There's also a moment where her blind mother goes, "He's here," and then it pans to the window and he's just staring inside.
Yes. Also, the mom. I think it is so interesting that the mom, who like knows exactly what's going on, is the one who's blind.
And can't see anything.
Yes.
But she can feel light.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe it is because she can't see, so she can't do the whole kind of reductive looking thing. And that's why she kind of notices things that everyone else doesn't. It kind of ties into the theory with the gaze.
It's also interesting to me that it's a mother.
Yes.
And not a father or like a male figure in this young woman's life.
Yes.
It's a mother who's unable to perceive and is very uncomfortable being perceived. She does not want to be in front of the camera. She never even mentions it.
Yeah.
And she notices that something is wrong the moment she is put in front of a camera.
It's sort of like this intuitive kind of perception that she has that is very, very intelligent. And I find that super interesting because I was going to say something about Mark's dad. Because he kind of is in this position. He's a scientist. Also, why are all my episodes about weird scientists doing creepy shit to their children?
It's Frankenstein all over again.
It's Frankenstein all over again. Crazy. And then it starts murdering people, the child. Maybe just be nice to your child. Crazy
Take away
idea.
of the Midnight Culture Club. Be nice to your child.
Yes, be nice to your child so it doesn't kill people.
Don't creepily film it or run away from it because it's ugly.
Yes. But yeah, I think these two parent figures that we have, like Mark's dad and Helen's mum, are very contrasting. The dad is a scientist, and that is in this patriarchal system that the male gaze theory works in, something that is associated with rationality and logic, and again, these are things that are seen as sort of masculine and respectable fields, right? And he is someone who's very cruel and who's like exploiting his child. And on the other hand, we have Helen's mother, who has this sort of instinctive, intuitive intelligence because she can sort of sense things. So she has like a very sort of emotional intelligence, I would say. She is good at sensing what is going on and understanding what people are like without having these kind of rational ways to measure things, right? And I think it is so interesting that it is her who in the end manages to understand first of all what's going on, and who manages to some degree protect her child. So I think it's very interesting that this maternal, more traditionally feminine thing of intuition and emotion has a much more positive outcome than this traditionally masculine rationality concept. And again, it kind of ends up with this thing of maybe traditional masculinity is not that good.
Maybe. What?
Is Peeping Tom a feminist movie?
That's a great question.
I think it might be a little bit.
Tentative feminism.
Tentative feminism. I think for 1960.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty feminist.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that is so
I just
cool.
hate to give men credit.
Fair enough. But I have a little bit of theory about this. And there's a very interesting article about masculinity in sort of serial killer narratives. It is by a guy called Klaus Rieser. He's also Austrian.
Another one.
It's from Vienna University. And this is article that he wrote that is about the sort of portrayal of male serial killers. He mostly talks about the slasher genre, but it also kind of works for other serial killer narratives. And he says that a lot of the time, sort of male serial killers are sort of, as he calls it, defective or deviant in their masculinity, so that they don't really fit these patriarchal norms of masculinity in some way. And a lot of the time this links to things like gender, presentation, or physical characteristics, or sexuality. So for example, these killers could be coded in a more feminine way. This is also where we get into kind of cross-dressing and the sort of transgender serial killer trope, which is very questionable. That's something that, you know, from things like Silence of the Lambs with Jamie Gumb, which... that's gonna be an episode.
Oh, great. Looking forward to hearing it.
Yes. So that would be like a very famous example of like a sort of feminized and like gender representation killer. There can also be physical characteristics of deviance, like, you know, people being sort of particularly small or having just like unusually formed bodies, which also kind of separates them from traditional masculinity, which is like tall and muscular and strong. Another thing, and this is I think the only one that kind of applies here, is that there is often this kind of thing of not having success with female love interests. A lot of the time there's this insinuation of like virginity. Shocking. If you're a virgin, you're going to be a murderer. Did you know that?
Man.
I hate that for
I'm
everyone.
so sorry to tell you.
Or, God beware, they could be queer.
Yes.
Imagine if you're a queer virgin.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm so conflicted about the whole virginity thing.
Yes.
Because are you supposed to have sex or not?
If you're a woman, you're not. If you're a man, you're supposed to. And if you're neither, then I guess
You're in a
you're
limbo
lost
state.
anyway. Because you've already failed the gender category, so you can go home.
Oh, okay. I see. So you're already...
It's already over for you.
It's already over.
Also,
then.
shout out to the, according to my stats, 28% non-binary listeners.
Oh my god. Slay. Love that.
I'm very proud of them.
You're really cornering the non-binary market,
Honestly, I should. It's a good market.
We'd love to.
Yes. So yeah, being a virgin or being queer, also very scandalous. And I think the kind of inexperienced virginity thing, I think we get a little bit of that vibe.
What, you say
With our boy
Mark
Mark.
doesn't get it?
I don't think he does.
Mark is not out on the prowl for some...
I think that Mark would get a heart attack if he was actually to like even make out with someone.
My boy Mark, no, I'm not claiming this man. Poor Mark. This man, for some reason, Helen's into him. And if she were to introduce him to me, I would tell her, baby girl,
Oh no.
do whatever makes you happy, but don't be alone in a room with that man.
Yeah. Yeah, not a good idea. But
No.
yeah, so these are kind of these typical features that we often get with sort of like serial killer characters. So we have not traditionally male gender representation, or again some kind of physical things that sort of inhibit this traditional male body, or this kind of non-normative sexuality, because with, you know, male people men is that what they're called?
It's giving
Men?
females.
Males. Yeah, so with male or male adjacent, I would say, serial killer characters, we also again often have these kind of sexual non-traditionally masculine things. So they're not getting all the girls, or they might not even be into the girls. Shocking.
The male gaze?
The male gaze. There they are. But they still have to like murder women, because otherwise like you can't have
Oh yeah.
male murder victims.
What? They're gonna murder a man who's
But
like
that's
a
not
finance bro?
that's not sexy. Like if you murder women, for some reason that's hot, but if you murder men, that's not cool. In slasher movies.
God.
Like I don't know why that is, but it's a thing.
I'm very much of the camp of Sabrina Carpenter's new video where she created a world where women just cannot die.
I like that.
Yes, it's very slasher.
The slasher movies would last forever.
Oh my goodness. She even has a slasher queen in it, Jenna Ortega.
Love Jenna Ortega.
Love Jenna Ortega.
She's great.
What a good kid.
We were with the male killer characters, right? Yes, so they often kind of deviate from traditional masculinity, and there's also a way in which they can be linked to this kind of non-masculine thing, and that is that they are kind of negatively influenced from a sort of female source, and usually that's the mother. So a lot of the time you get this kind of controlling mother, or very problematic mother that has influenced the person to become the way they are. And I mean, we get the classic for this is Psycho, right?
Yes.
Which is from the same year.
Really?
As the Tom Peepery.
This film is
They're
very
both
Hitchcockian.
1960. It is. There's
Yes.
actually, I actually read a comment on Letterboxd who was like, Hitchcock wishes he'd made this film.
Honestly, imagine. It wouldn't be nearly as critical about the male gaze.
Exactly. And that is my point.
Slay.
Because in Psycho, if you don't know, spoilers, a lot of similar themes. We have the serial killer theme, we have the voyeurism theme, but nowhere near as controversial. And I think the reason for that is because we can blame everything on the mother.
Oh.
Yes, because, so it is about, it's this guy, he's called Norman Bates, he's Anthony Perkins, I love Anthony Perkins. And he kills women, but...
Shocker.
Yes,
Go on.
but here comes the spoiler. It turns out that it's not really him, but that he's sort of taken over by his mother. So the mother has messed her child up so much that he now murders people because he's sort of internalized her own possessiveness over him. So whenever he like fancies a lady, the kind of mom part of his brain is like, oh no, my son cannot like somebody else. So he kind of takes over the role of the mother and kills them.
Wow.
And in Peeping Tom, the parent who's kind of responsible, who's messed their child up so much that they murder people, is the dad. We don't have a kind of female figure that we can blame it on. And I think that is the difference. Peeping Tom, with the dad being this kind of negative paternal influence, forces us to be like, hey, men are sometimes shitty. And I don't think the audience is like that, especially not the critics.
The way you've just blown my mind. It's crazy.
Oh
yes,
God.
thank you.
I love doing that.
I love having my mind blown. By fun
always
facts,
fun.
not like actually.
Yeah, no, we don't want
talking
to do that.
about like serial killers.
Yeah,
just
don't
putting this out
actually
there.
don't actually blow people's minds. Just say interesting stuff.
Yes. Love how the outcome is don't blow people's minds.
And be nice to your children.
And be nice to your children.
So yeah, that is kind of my little conspiracy theory why I think this film was so controversial. On the one hand, it makes this kind of male gaze that narrative cinema usually disguises visible, so we are kind of forced to identify with the person looking in the film, and we don't like that because he's very destructive. And the second aspect is that we cannot really blame anyone who's not a relatively normative man.
Yes. Crazy. This film is also very much particular about its masculinity in that the murder weapon, which is a leg.
The big reveal. The murder weapon is amazing.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I just think it's really funny.
That it's an erect penis.
That it's an erect penis and it's like attached to the camera.
Oh yeah, the murder weapon is one of the legs of the tripod of the camera,
Yes.
which he lifts up, takes off the cover, and then stabs people with it, running into them.
And also like the way he removes the cover.
Oh yeah, just unsheathes it.
Yeah.
There's no other way to call it.
If you've ever questioned whether there's such a thing as like phallic symbolism,
Oh, this movie.
it will convince you.
But the thing is, I did wonder if I'm just being a creep about it.
No, I think that is very deliberate.
Okay, good.
I think so. And I mean, it also fits into the thesis that we have, that
Slay.
masculinity destructive.
The way you just said that, oh, masculinity destructive. I think that's what every single male podcaster thinks women talk about.
Teehee.
Teehee.
I hate proving them right. No, but like I have backed up masculinity destructive with a lot of good stuff.
Oh, no, your
So-
argument is very sound.
Thank you. Yeah, but I think that is something we can read out of this, that it is very critical towards this sort of normative masculinity, and that is reflected in the murder weapon that is so phallic. And at the same time, it is combined with the cameras. I think it's like, it's the gaze and the dick.
They're having a good time.
So I think that overall, we can say that with all of these techniques that are used with making the male gaze visible, even though it is such an integral part of narrative cinema, and sort of turning it around, subverting it, and linking it with murder and sexual exploitation that we see in like the porn production to some degree, and also linking it with this very masculine element. So the film essentially puts this overarching idea of the male-dominated film and the way it kind of exploits the image of women on trial, in a sense, and by linking it to crime and to exploitation and showing that is potentially very violating through the medium of the cameras. I think it's specifically directed at film. And yeah, I believe that the audiences and the critics did not like being put on trial. And I believe that that is the reason, or one of the reasons. The boobs probably played a role in it as well.
Minimally.
To some degree. But yeah, I think that is one of the reasons why it was so controversial. Because it's basically criticizing the people who decide what is controversial.
I need to soak that in. That is a very incredible argument.
Thank you.
A very sound argument.
Thank you.
Not only because it's in podcast format.
I have an Oscar Wilde quote for it.
Go on.
It's from the foreword, actually, of The Picture of Dorian Gray, which was also called Inappropriate. And there, Oscar Wilde wrote, "The books the world calls immoral are the books that show the world its own shame."
Wow.
And that's exactly it.
That's Peeping Tom.
That's Peeping Tom. It shows the world its own shame.
Crazy.
And they didn't like that.
No. You sure it wasn't just because Carl looks like that?
They were like, this man's face is not appropriate.
Put some thoughts behind those eyes.
So, I think we can end on that. On lovely Oscar Wilde telling us before the film was even made what it did. And me telling you now.
I mean, interestingly also is the mirror of the camera. Part of the murder weapon is that also he puts a little mirror so that the poor people who are getting murdered can see their own faces while they're dying.
Yeah, that's where you get into the fear element, right?
Into the fear element.
Because he's also like repeating his dad's thing of wanting to capture perfect fear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it is interesting because they're kind of being forced to
reckon with their own image.
Mm-hmm. They also are forced to look at themselves.
Would hate that.
Yeah, I don't want to look at myself when I'm dying.
I don't know.
I don't know, depends how I'm dying, I guess.
Okay, so if we were to be...
If you're getting stabbed by Mark.
I would be more afraid of his face than mine. And I feel like he would smile when he kills people. We never see him actually kill people, besides himself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Also, quick side note, but the way he kills himself would never work.
Really?
Because, you know, he puts the camera onto like this shelf thingy. He fixes it to it and then he sort of runs into the spike.
He self-penetrates.
Yes, he self-penetrates. Is he gay after all?
I don't know. Can you call... Is that... If you're gay for yourself, aren't you just a narcissist?
Probably. Yeah, he stabs himself with the thing, self-penetration, as you said. I just think he would, like, need a lot more momentum for it to work.
Oh, should we ask Hank Green?
Yeah, I think he would, like, need to run at the spike a lot faster.
I don't...
But I don't know.
I feel like...
I mean, if you hit, like, the big, like, the aorta, then I guess...
It would take him longer to die, to be fair.
It would take him a while to die.
And also, I feel
He's
like...
dying unrealistically. God damn it.
Get your facts right. Movie from the 60s. Everything else about this movie is
perfectly
so
logical.
Also, Loki, one of my favorite characters was just this policeman who was making jokes.
He was great.
It was so funny.
He's the inappropriate person in this film.
Oh yeah.
He's like there on this film set where this woman was just murdered and he like starts like whistling along to the radio and he's like dancing.
Oh my god.
But he has a good haircut.
He does.
He has a very nice haircut.
Also, entire movie, love the wardrobe.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yes.
Mark's little cropped.
The crop jacket. I was thinking about the crop jacket today when I was on the train. I was like, I want that jacket.
Honestly, it's such a good jacket. He has weirdly good style for a recluse.
Maybe when he's not doing his little films, he's like looking at fashion magazines.
Oh my god, the original fashion blogger.
Yes, his dad is the family vlogger. He's the fashion blogger.
Thank you so much for that analysis.
You're welcome.
I am still flashed by
Aww.
how smart it was.
I'm so glad. I'm glad it was interesting. We did something.
We sure
sure
sat
did.
here and did something.
Yeah.
Are you gonna feed me pizza and s'mores now?
Yes, we're gonna do that. If you want, you can already say goodbye to Anna.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
That
being
was so.
here.
Oh God. Sometimes I do things and I'm like, ugh, that tone of voice was so annoying. Bye.
Bye.
I just wanted to channel Mark's face for a second. It sounds like he would have that voice. Thank you so much for having me on the Midnight Culture Club.
Thank you for coming. And thank you, lovely creatures, for joining us on today's attempt to capture the perfect episode of a podcast for purely scientific reasons. Now, this is not yet the perfect episode, so I suppose we'll have to keep going and become serial podcast capturers. But at least we don't have to stab ourselves with the specially devised non-phallic mic stabber when everything comes to light. If you nonetheless enjoyed this episode, or didn't, maybe you're a professional hater, you can rate it just at the top of the podcast page on Spotify. If you want, you could also leave a comment on the episode with your well-observed feedback. And if you know someone who you think might be interested in joining the club, let them know about it. The first rule of Midnight Culture Club is to tell everyone about Midnight Culture Club. I should have done this from the beginning, but I only thought of it now. But yeah, thank you for attending this insightful session, and we hope to see you again soon here on the nocturnal side. Sweet dreams and good night.